Hello everybody, my name is Joshua and I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of Coffee, Cats, and King, where we will discuss books both new and old. I will share with you pictures of my cats who will make you wish they were your cats, and I will drink enough coffee for me and everybody. Watch. My mug is my I turn coffee into books mug today. And another of my Twilight Zone shirts. It's from Eye of the Beholder, one of my favorite episodes. I'm back today, despite what I just finished saying in my intro, with a non-book related video. This is another of my 10 underrated horror movie hidden gems videos, and this is part 3. If you've not watched the first 2, I will link them somewhere down below, so check those out so you have plenty to watch through the upcoming fall season. So for those of you who have not watched these videos before, I will give you the name, the year that the movie came out, where you can watch it, usually for free, and then a synopsis or description of some sort. So, without further ado, let's get started. First movie I want to talk about is 1972's Asylum. This can be watched on Tubi TV or Pluto for free. And the synopsis is as follows. As a test of skill, a doctor interviewing for a job at an asylum must correctly identify which of the patients used to be the head doctor. So the way it works is he goes around to each patient and each patient gives his or her story. So this is set up as a themed anthology. And there's some pretty cool stories there. There's a woman who convinces her lover to kill his wife, but the wife comes back with a vengeance. A tailor is tasked with making a very special suit that must be made in the midnight hours. A woman back from the hospital fights against her brother and nurse who refuse her the pills she's addicted to, but luckily her friend Lucy comes to aid her. So these are some of the stories you're going to find in this anthology. And it's just a really cool movie. First of all, a great premise, I think. I mean, what a way to win a job, you know? The stories are all really cool. Most of them are pretty original. It's got some great effects, some really great effects. Especially coming out in 1972, some of the effects they have in this film are just really, really awesome. So, great film. If you're into anthologies, themed anthology-style horror movies, this is an excellent one. Next up, I want to talk about one of the newer films on this list. That is 2014's Don't Blink. And this can be watched on Tubi, Vudu, Prime, or Pluto, all for free. So definitely no excuses not to watch this one. And the synopsis is as follows. 10 friends arrive at a remote mountain resort for a weekend of relaxation, but find it deserted. Bewilderment turns to terror as members of their group begin to disappear one by one. So, this movie, I'll say right off the bat, the acting and production value is not top tier or anything. So this one surprises you in that it is very much a psychological horror. There's not a lot of guts or gore or anything like that. This is all about piecing together what's going on as the characters do the same thing. And it's one of those movies that, you know, something will happen and you've missed it and the characters have missed it. So you're trying to rewind the film and find out what happened and see if you can spot, you know, when that particular thing happens. So really interesting. It's a little more interactive in that manner. And just a very solid film. Very enjoyable to watch. Okay, next I want to talk about 1991's Unborn. This one can be watched for free on Tubi, or if you feel like paying for some reason, then you can go to Prime and watch it for $3. And again, the synopsis. A couple struggling to conceive visit a miracle doctor as a last hope for having a child. The wife becomes pregnant, but after the initial joy comes horror as she slowly discovers the nightmarish truth behind the doctor's success. So, this has a very Rosemary's Baby type feel to it. There are quite a few films that have this sort of premise, but this one in particular, not a lot of people have watched it, not a lot of people know about it, and I think it's a very solid film. It is not the scariest or creepiest or anything like that, but there are some definite moments in there that mothers in particular or soon-to-be mothers, or women who hope to be mothers, might find rather disturbing. You know, you got a baby pushing up against the skin and trying to get out of the belly, and it gets pretty disturbing. And the baby itself is not even something that a mother could love, we'll say that. If you have it in your head that you might want to have kids, well, watch this one first, and it might just change your mind. Okay, moving back further, a couple more years. This is 1988's Spellcaster, and this can be watched for free on Tubi. So, what is this one about? Well, siblings travel with a group of contestants to a castle in Italy to participate in a $1 million treasure hunt hidden on the premises. Little do they know, the lord of the castle hides a deadly secret. Okay, I will say right off the bat, this movie has no business being called Spellcaster. It's a terrible, terrible, terrible name. Doesn't really have anything to do with the movie. So just completely ignore that. This movie has some really terrible acting, but it has some really, really awesome effects. Okay, this has some awesome kill scenes. It is well worth a watch for that reason. The idea is sort of a murder mystery, Agatha Christie style almost, but devolves into a more supernatural horror rather quickly. Like I said, the acting is a bit subpar, but the effects in the movie are great, and it's one of those movies that's just a lot of fun to watch. Alright, following that, I want to talk about the newest movie on this list. This movie came out in 2018. It can be watched on Tubi, Pluto, or Prime, all for free. This is Butterfly Kisses. Again, this is a movie that I think needed a different title, because the term Butterfly Kisses is mentioned once, really, and it barely has anything to do with the movie. They dropped the ball on that, but that's okay. The movie itself, let's get into that. A filmmaker discovers a box of videotapes depicting a disturbing student film project about an urban legend known as Peeping Tom. As he sets out to prove the footage is real, he becomes obsessed, along with the film crew following him. So, Butterfly Kisses sounds very much like those creepy internet stories that everyone knows and loves, right? And that's kind of the setup here. Now, again, it is a found footage film, and I know a lot of people do not like found footage. Personally, in small doses, I think there are some really great found footage movies out there. This one I rather enjoyed. The film jumps back and forth between the footage taken from the student film and footage of the man trying to piece it together and trying to track down this urban legend known as Peeping Tom. And you quickly realize as a viewer that this man, there's something odd about him. There's something odd about the whole thing, in fact, you know. It just, everything he says, it just doesn't quite ring true. Really, the important part here is we're trying to figure out, is Peeping Tom real, or is he a fabrication? It makes for a very enjoyable movie. This is not a movie that just throws out a bunch of jump scares and stuff. You don't have a ton of shaky cam, you know, that sort of thing. So as found footage goes, it's a little easier on the eyes, if you will. And again, really interesting movie. And I love anything to do with urban legends, so this one for me was a definite win. Okay, moving on. We are going back to 2007 for a movie called Sublime. This is available on Apple, Prime, or Vudu for $3. So this is not one you're going to be able to watch for free, unfortunately, but it is well worth that $3, folks. This is actually one of my favorite horror films, and the synopsis is as follows. A man goes to the hospital for a colonoscopy and is mistaken for a patient with the same name. Due to the error, he's given an unnecessary operation that leaves him with severe complications. Slowly, his mental and physical condition deteriorate as he makes troubling discoveries about the hospital. So what makes Sublime so scary right off the bat is that this is a fear we all have, right? Tell me that you have never gone to the doctor, or especially the hospital, and not been concerned that something is going to happen, there's going to be some sort of error, and you are going to end up with the wrong medication or the wrong procedure. And personally, that sort of thing is just absolutely terrifying to me. We used to live next door to a woman that had a minor surgery done, and 2 months later she was in severe pain still the whole time, and they kept telling her it's okay, it's just you're recovering. Finally, 2 months in, they take her back to the hospital, do some x-rays and that, and find that they left a sponge and a scalpel in her stomach. So these things absolutely happen in real life. It's not just some urban legend in this case, and that's what makes Sublime so terrifying right off the bat. In this case, the man has this surgery, he reacts very horribly to it, and he's bedridden, he really can't get around to do anything, he can't get a hold of anyone outside, and slowly he's just coming unraveled as he realizes that things in this hospital are not okay. It's a super scary film. I love this movie. I've watched it many times. Please go out, pay the $3, watch Sublime. Next up, I want to talk about another movie that came out in 2007. This is The Reaping. And this movie is available on Apple, Vudu, or Prime for $4. The synopsis is as follows. A former Christian missionary spends her days debunking religious phenomena. When a series of biblical plagues overrun a small town, she arrives to prove that a supernatural force is not behind the occurrences, but soon finds that science cannot explain what's happening. Instead, she must confront her faith to combat the evil that awaits in a Louisiana swamp. So, as I said, we're getting into some religious aspects here, obviously. This woman, she gets to this small town, and she has her particular reasons for doing what she does. But she gets to this small town thinking that she is just going to very carefully and methodically debunk everything that they are seeing. They're seeing the river turning red. So, of course, she immediately starts thinking, okay, well, there's deposits of iron and, so on and so forth. And so she immediately goes into that scientific mode. Well, then she gets there and she realizes that that every explanation she has just doesn't seem to work, because everything she's seeing is just a little crazier than anything she's seen before. As the horror ramps up, as these biblical plagues continue to get more and more extreme, it really becomes a crisis of faith. And all I can do is say this is a great movie. Do not let the religious aspect get in the way. It's going to tick everybody off a little bit, whether you are a Christian, whether you are atheist, whether you are, believe in the squid monster that is going to come down and eat us all. It's not even about that. It's just horror, and it happens to be religious in nature. So, great movie, awesome effects. Give it a try. Alright, last 3 movies here. This is another one I've thrown in here that is more almost for comedic effect than anything. So, this is 2009's Sorority Row. So, Sorority Row is as follows. Sorority sisters are involved in a prank gone wrong that kills one of their sisters. Rather than risk their futures by reporting the crime, they cover it up. They come to regret the decision a year later when someone begins sending them videos of the night their friend died, and they begin to fall victim to a deadly stalker. So again, this movie is not scary. This movie is just schlocky fun. If you like movies like Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer, then you are going to have a blast with Sorority Row. This is very much a humorous film. There are some horrific moments and some really awesome kill scenes, but this movie is also jam-packed with ridiculous humor, okay? So don't go into this expecting some serious drama about campus kids getting killed. That's not how this goes. It is meant to be kind of over the top and ridiculous and fun. It is meant to be an homage to movies like Scream. So that's what you're getting here. It just so happens to be a film that not a lot of people have really talked about, and I personally found it rather enjoyable, found a couple good laughs there. And for any fans of the old show The Hills, well, you get to see Audrina in her acting debut, although she doesn't make it more than maybe 10 minutes into the film. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. We are getting into some true horror here, okay? First one is 2007's Time Crimes. This movie is available on Tubi, Pluto, and Vudu, all for free. Now, this is a Spanish film, so you will be reading subtitles if you don't know Spanish, but it is well worth it. The synopsis. Here we go. Through terrifying circumstances, a man finds himself thrown back in time 1 hour. Finding the old version of himself is the first of a series of disasters of unforeseeable consequences. This movie is actually billed more as a science fiction, but let me tell you, it is horrific. It is incredibly horrific. This movie is so psychologically disturbing. I loved it. Awesome film. I highly suggest it. Just don't let the science fiction part bother you or keep you from enjoying this film. You have not watched anything like this. It's killer. For those of you that enjoyed the movie Triangle that I suggested in one of my other videos, you'll love Time Crimes, okay? Awesome movie. Check it out. So disturbing, just great stuff. For the final movie that I want to suggest, it's not actually technically a movie. It is a TV show episode, but it is by far the most disturbing horror on this list. That is the 1996 X-Files episode, Home. Now, you can watch this on Hulu if you have Hulu. Otherwise, you have to pay $2 to watch it on Apple or Vudu. And I'm just going to give a very brief synopsis here. The remains of a murdered, deformed infant lead the agents to a family of animal-like brothers living on a secluded farm in Pennsylvania. That did not sound like an X-Files episode, did it? It sounded more like something that comes out of Criminal Minds. Well, this episode definitely strays into that territory. And rather than tell you more about the actual episode, I'm going to tell you a few facts pertaining to the episode that I think will be enough to convince you to seek this out and watch it, okay? 1. X-Files was always a TV-13 rating, TV-14 rating, depending on where you were. This episode, when it came out, was immediately pegged not TV-14, not R, but MA, okay? And was immediately banned from television because it was so freaking horrific. So for a long time, you couldn't even watch this. It finally started showing up on the internet a long while later, and now you can watch it, but you better be ready, because I don't know what they were on that day, but man, it's not X-Files in any way. This is just straight freaking horror. If you thought The Hills Have Eyes was scary, if you thought Texas Chainsaw Massacre was scary, Home is really going to mess with you. If you are a fan of shows like Criminal Minds and you think, Criminal Minds just doesn't take it far enough, well, give this episode a chance. It is going to give you nightmares. That's really all I'm going to say about it, because, man, you've got to watch it. It is one of the scariest things on television, period. There you go, guys. That is another list of 10 underrated horror movie hidden gems. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that if you have not enjoyed the first two, you will go down below, find those videos, watch them, enjoy them as well. I hope that you will offer me some suggestions down below. One or two of you have done so, and I've found some really great movies that way, so I appreciate that. I think that after all these horrors, you guys deserve a little cat footage, so I'm going to throw that in now. What are you doing, buddy? Oh, goodness. Oh, good puppy. What is it? What is it? Oh, my goodness. Come on. Paige, your butt may or may not be in the video.
Okay.
Yeah? You gonna go for the headphones or for the pen? advice to sit here and help me with my writing. Don't you, buddy? So, I hope I have offered you guys some great movies to watch over the upcoming long weekend. I hope that you will do so with an excellent cup of coffee or two. And I hope you all stay safe, stay responsible over the Labor Day weekend, and have a great time with your family and friends. If you don't have family and friends, well, reach out to me. We'll talk movies and books and such. Okay? Bye, everybody. Cheers. As these biblical plagues, as these biblical